Applying the SMART skills of emotional intelligence is a game-changing performance choice. If you want to reduce your stress, simplify your decisions, increase your satisfaction, deal more effectively with the risks of everyday living, and recover more productively from the unexpected, I want you to tune in, buckle up for the ride of a lifetime. Woo! Because I'm inviting you to build extraordinary capability by developing the SMART skills of emotional intelligence. Now, we break emotional intelligence down into 4 dimensions, but I hope the question you're now asking is, what is emotional intelligence? Good question. Why would it be relevant to you, your family, and the organizations in which you work? Another good question. Well, I like to use the definition by the research of Dr. David Wexler back in 1958. He said intelligence is the aggregate or global capacity of the individual to act purposely, think rationally, and deal effectively with their environment. And let me repeat that. Act purposely, think rationally, and deal effectively with their environment. That makes for one powerful human being. And in my book, that moves you from having a competitive advantage with a lot of credentials after your name into being an absolute advantage. And that requires you to be present in your life. So as we break these dimensions down into 4, the research tells us there's self-awareness, there's self-mastery, there's social awareness, and there's relational leadership. In a tight fix, what we say is emotional self-awareness. This is where you determine who you are, where you're going, and why. This is where you get honest with your gaps and your strengths. So the accurate self-assessment. And from that self-knowledge, you have a confidence. Socrates' injunction is the way I want you to be thinking about the first dimension of self-awareness, emotional self-awareness. Know thyself. That is the foundational piece. Without it, it's very difficult to move forward into the other dimensions. Because once you know better, the idea is then you're going to perhaps make a performance choice to do better in the self-mastery, that emotional self-control. The competencies in this dimension include your ability to produce results that inspire people, to have an emotional self-control, an adaptability, an optimism, and an initiative. You'd only need, out of the 18 competencies, maybe 6 to create an opportunity for you to set yourself apart and distinguish yourself from a mass market of lookalikes. We all know that we are charged as leaders of making a performance choice with every person at every interaction, every time. Are we leaving them more energized, more committed and productive, rather than full of resistance, ill will, and dispirited? We're making that choice all the time. And when you're living in the present moment, you're able to act purposely, think rationally, and deal effectively with your environment. The third dimension now is social awareness. Do you have the ability to walk a mile in somebody else's shoe? Empathy is one of those competencies. Do you understand the ripple effect of you in the world and the world's impact on you? This all matters. You see where we're putting together in a holistic fashion your ability to act purposely, think rationally, and deal effectively with your environment. The fourth dimension is relational leadership. Your impact on others and their receiving of you. Are you an individual that inspires people? Do you have influence, which is the great power base? Because rank, title, and position don't have the moral ground that it once did. Are you able to affect conflict in a positive way? Again, do your results inspire people? Do you have teamwork and collaboration as part of your arsenal? The firepower with which you approach day in and day out every individual. These 4 dimensions, self-awareness, self-mastery, social awareness, and relational leadership. Now let's break all of those hammers down into something that matters to you. Why is it relevant? Because performance, choices, and outcomes matter. They matter to you. They matter to your family. They matter to the organizations in which you live, work, and play. performance outcomes. I believe developing the smart skills of emotional intelligence is your global passport. I know for me, it was the keys to my freedom. For 30 years, I had empowered the weakness in other people against myself. Think of that. Empowering the weakness in others against yourself. I was a pawn on everybody else's game board, and it didn't feel good. With emotional intelligence, as a practitioner, I took my power back. And you can too. It's this simple, but it's not easy. Creating new neural pathways upon which you are going to decide with each interaction, are you going to be a knee-jerk reaction and have a negative emotional hijack, or are you going to respond by acting purposely, thinking rationally, and dealing effectively with each situation? Most people have their fingers out in blame. It's my attitude that you start taking full responsibility for what you think, for what you say, and what you do. These are performance choices, moment to moment, day in and day out. We ask you, where are you living emotionally? Do you know your own emotional portfolio? Are you living in the past? Are you in the present? Are you in the future? Yesterday, today, tomorrow. It makes a difference. Because yesterday is the past. If you're living in it, you're not learning from it. And it takes a whole lot of energy to go from the past to get present. If you're not in the present moment, you're never cherishing and know the joy and the peace and the contentment of this moment in time, because guess what? We don't have a guarantee of another breath. I don't, you don't. And tomorrow, think about the emotions about tomorrow. Fear, worry, stress, being overwhelmed, anxious. If those are emotions you're feeling, you're in the future. What I'm suggesting to you is, by developing, learning, and practicing the smart skills of emotional intelligence, you have an opportunity to take your power back, live in the present moment, taste the wine, engage with human beings right where they are and in the season they're in. With that power, again, you're able to look at the world by reducing your stress, simplifying your decisions because you know who you are, where you're going, and you know why. Once you know better, you're able to make a performance choice to do better. You start to see your exceptional life in a way of impacting in the world in a good way, in a powerful way, in a memorable way. And in the leadership relationships side of the equation, we all know people who have risen to the top by what they knew. But when we're in charge, our charge is to harness the collective genius of the people around us to get where we're going with and through them. And you cannot do that without building the exceptional capabilities of emotional intelligence. You might be asking a third or fourth question here. How do I begin doing that? Well, in simple and straightforward ways. I'll give you three. Do you call people by their name? Do you find you're telling yourself, I'm not good at that? Well, guess what? The child in you has reinforced it's not important enough for you to remember somebody else's name. You remember your name. Hopefully you remember your children's name. Call people by their name, the name they wish to be called by. That's one. Two, take 10 seconds. If some event, an external stimulus occurs, take 10 seconds to think about your response rather than your knee-jerk, wow, reaction. What do I want this relationship to look like after an engagement with me? Are they more energized, more committed, more productive after an engagement with me? Or are they full of resistance, ill will, and dispirited? As leaders of ourselves, that is our charge. And I believe developing the smart skills of emotional intelligence will permit you to taste the joy in living. Take your power back and put something back that's memorable, that empowers others, energizes others, enlightens others, and makes you a model. As a leader, it's not important what we say to people. As a leader, what's important is what we do. I'm one of 14 children, and I can tell you, I didn't listen to my parents. I watched what they did, and I saw love every day, in every way, in every action. And so it can be with you. Act purposely, think rationally, and deal effectively with your environment. Those are the skill sets of a highly emotionally intelligent individual. Thank you.